Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, the battle for the next House Speaker rages on.
Huwag na lang tayong mag-away. I will not help anybody. Maglabo-labo na lang kayo.
The ruling party PDP Laban endorses its bet.
I am therefore announcing the endorsement in support of the PDP Laban to Congressman Lord Alan Velasco.
But other aspirants say the race is far from over.
I was never consulted about the choice for the party candidate for speakership.
Maghati kayo ng term. Ang gusto ni Cayetano, mauna siya. And Velasco can have the other half.
The president insists he won't pick a candidate, but can he still change his mind? House Majority Leader Fred Castro and Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Zarate join us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. President Rodrigo Duterte continues to distance himself from the speakership race. Mr. Duterte says he's leaving it to lawmakers to decide on who the next House Speaker will be. The president adds that he is having a hard time endorsing the next leader of the House because the three contenders are his close allies. The president's ruling party, PDP Laban, endorses Marinduque Representative Lord Alan Velasco, Leyte Representative Martin Romualdez and Taguig Representative Alan Peter Cayetano are also in the running for the next House Speaker. Leftist group Makabayan Bloc also filed its own candidate for Speaker. And also, how serious is the threat of impeachment against the president after his remarks that he will not ban China in the country's exclusive economic zone? Let's go straight to the sources of the story. We have House Majority Leader Fred Castro and Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Zarate. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Good morning, Pinky.
We will always be here with you inviting us.
Thank you, especially when it comes to the time that I'll need you more. Because right now, it's still a blur who the next House Speaker will be. First, I wanted to get both your reactions on the endorsement of PDP to Congressman Lord Alan Velasco. Sir, Confred, please go ahead.
I think the endorsement of specifically Senator Pacquiao has made the situation of Velasco even murky. I say murky because some of the PDP Laban stalwarts are claiming that it was simply personal on the part of Senator Pacquiao. And they are questioning what has he been doing about the issue in the House of Representatives. He's a senator. Therefore, he should not dip his finger on matters being discussed or tackled in the House of Representatives.
So murky, that will lead to possibly what?
Possibly that
Disunity?
disunity, or even it may even trigger a breakup in the party.
Because if that triggers a breakup, sir, posibleng lumakas yung inyong ine-endorse.
I am not going to accept na posibleng lumakas yung ini-endorse ko dahil talaga namang malakas na siya ngayon. No?
Mas lumakas.
Lalong lalakas. Ang palagay ko ay lalong lalakas.
And we're talking about, of course, Congressman Martin Romualdez.
Yes,
Let me just go to Congressman Zarate first. Sir, kayo, how do you see the endorsement of Congressman Lord Alan Velasco?
Well, that shows how fractious the biggest party in the House is, and even the so-called majority supporting the president. No? Three parties yan, no? Velasco, Romualdez, and Cayetano. No? So it's anybody's game, so to speak. No? In fact, dahil sinabi rin ng Pangulong Duterte for now that he will not be picking a candidate, the more na magkalabo-labo yung nasa coalition, no? Majority coalition, and it's a sign of things to come leading towards 2022. No? Na makita natin ngayon, nakamabuhay nung coalition na yan. No? Dahil, they are representing different interests.
Yeah.
Actually.
So what happens to the House? Magkakagulo pa ba yan because of the various groups endorsing various candidates, or in the end, you will see some sort of a supermajority again in the House, sir?
With more reason that we should select someone who is capable of coalition building. the fact that Lakas CMD, whose president is Martin Romualdez, succeeds in trying to gather cross-party line members of the House of Representatives shows that he has the capacity to build a coalition to become a supermajority.
Why did you have a meeting after the endorsement of Congressman Lord Alan Velasco?
No, that meeting was scheduled a long time ago. It was not intended to neutralize or negate the effects of that meeting.
Really?
Of Velasco.
But-
it was scheduled a long time
Yeah,
ago.
but was it also some sort of flexing your muscle to say that Martin Romualdez is still in the running?
We are not going to say that it's flexing muscle to demonstrate or to make public that Martin Romualdez is still in the running, because there has never been an interruption on his exposure to run as Speaker of the House of
So,
Representatives.
okay, let me rephrase this question. Was there a little bit of threat on the side of those supporting Martin Romualdez because of the announcement of Senator Manny Pacquiao?
It has never been felt.
Congressman Zarate, what about, how do you see this all playing out? Of course, we're going to eventually get to you also being in the running for House Speaker, sir.
Well, as it is now, makikita natin talaga dito, Pinky, no? Yung play, no? Ng different factions in the House of Representatives. Now, while they project a certain degree of cohesiveness as a supermajority coalition, but in reality, they're not. No? And nakikita na natin ngayon yung mga factions na ito. At sabi ko nga, even after the election, whoever wins in the speakership, that coalition will no longer be the same, leading towards 2020.
Sigurado kayo doon?
Yes, of course.
Is it because of, Congressman, is it because of personal ambition? Ang tinitingnan ho ba natin dito, a play of personal ambition or party?
Well, in the past, no, ang history naman ng House is not just personal ambition. There are a lot of economic and political interests behind every speaker, not just Malacanang.
Yeah.
So yan yung reality dyan. And, 2022 is a very crucial election, if we will have an election. So, kaya ngayon pa lang, crucial na yung mga political factions na ito, economic and political factions, will have to pick the right speaker, even President Duterte.
And it's vital to do that now, 3 years before 2022. Congressman Fred, sabi po nila sa PDP, they have about 200 signatures?
I also heard that. In fact, I read it in the newspaper. But I don't know whether I could accept that number, because if I accept it on the face value, we will more or less have 400 members in the House of Representatives.
Why?
Because look, the number of Romualdez, plus the number of Peter Cayetano, plus the number of my good friend here, Congressman Zarate, and plus that alleged 200. Therefore, you can easily speculate or even surmise that the number of House members is already 400
And
plus.
how many are you?
Well, what I could say is that you do not disclose your strength in any war, political or military. But to answer your question, I would say that Romualdez has a number potent enough to proceed with a decent and decent speakership fight.
Would decent be 50% plus one?
More than that.
Really?
Yes.
So if you have how many members in the House of Representatives?
306.
306. Then let's put it at 153. He has 154, at least.
More than that.
Really?
Yeah.
And Congressman Zarate, how many do you have?
Well, Makabayan Bloc is composed of six members going into the 18th Congress. But as they say, this is anybody's game. Suntok sa buwan, but sometimes nasusuntok ang buwan. But more than, Pinky, more than winning the speakership, Makabayan Bloc decided to put my name in the ballot, so to speak, to also present an alternative. No? That this speakership race is not only about personalities. We have to talk about issues. No? And I think it's high time that a speaker running, a congressman running for a speaker should also say something about major issues of the day. For example, what is our stand on the Chinese bullying in the West Philippine Sea. No? Even our own exclusive economic zone is now apparently part of the exclusive economic zone of China as well. No? And apparently even ang ating mga isda dyan ay kailangan pang kumuha ng visa and passport, whatever. So, and there are major issues confronting the 18th Congress. For example, charter change. No? Talagang, I think, iraratsada ito in the last remaining years of the Duterte administration. Because all pretenses about federalism are already thrown out the window. No? What remains now is only to change our constitution, especially the protectionist provisions of our constitution, the national patrimony and our national sovereignty. So, ito yung ilalapag namin. From now until July 22, these are the issues that we will raise.
But also running, hindi ho ba, Congressman Zarate, kung tumakbo kasi kayo, ang second highest number becomes automatically the ganun ho ba?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily,
And
no.
that's the tradition, but under our rules, those who will not vote for the winning speaker are considered part of the minority. And all of those who did not vote for the speaker will have to select or choose its minority leader.
So, with that, meron ho ba kayong pag-asa maging minority leader?
Now, after the election, then all things are on the table. No? We will contest the minority leadership if that will be the case. But what is certain, the Makabayan Bloc will always be there as an independent bloc, no? To push our issues, to bring the, on the table the agenda of our people.
We'll be talking about these issues when we come back. We'll be taking a short break. How about an impeachment case? Will it prosper against the president? Congressmen Fred Castro and Carlos Zarate weigh in after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guests today, House Majority Leader Fred Castro and Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Zarate. Sir, during your meeting, were there LP members spotted during your meeting?
Yes, they were there. They were the Liberal Party members like Congressman Erice, Dasa, and Belmonte were there. They supported the event hosted by Congressman Romualdez.
And supporting the event hosted by Congressman Romualdez necessarily or automatically means that they will be voting for him.
That is the favorable presumption that you can deduce.
Favorable presumption that I can deduce. What about the president, though? How do you feel about the president saying that he's okay with possible term sharing? And he talked about two people, Lord Alan Velasco and Alan Peter Cayetano. Let's listen to what the president said.
Ito sabi ko, maghati kayo ng term. Gusto ni Cayetano, mauna siya. But he will stay there just for 15 months. That's what he committed. See, and Velasco can have the other half, which is not really as short as 21 months. Sabi ko, ganon ang proposal. Pumayag na si Cayetano, but si Velasco mukhang last minute nag-back out.
So with that, I can favorably deduce that the president was not choosing Congressman Martin Romualdez. Can I favorably deduce that, sir?
What the president was saying about term limit,
Term sharing.
term sharing, happened few days before the event that he requested or he asked Congressman Romualdez whether he's prepared to handle the House of Representatives.
What can you tell us more about that? Because there was supposed to be a meeting after the ceremony in Malacanang a few nights ago. Ano ho ba sinabi? There was a one-on-one meeting supposed to be with the President and Congressman Martin Romualdez. What was said there?
Well, I was not there
What did
to
he tell
be
you?
privy to the discussion, but I could only answer the question on the basis of the reports in the television and other sources. The President allegedly asked Congressman Romualdez whether he is ready or perhaps prepared to manage or run as a leader the House of Representatives. And for me, that question of the president is meaningful, especially in the light that Congressman Velasco and Cayetano could not agree on this term sharing being proposed by the president.
So let me ask you this. Is your group amenable to a possible term sharing with somebody from PDP?
As for me, I do not see it advisable. Without defying the suggestion or the proposal of the president, I think it's not advisable.
Congressman Zarate, what do you think about term sharing?
I think it's not also good for the House as an institution, no? Because it's more of accommodating all your allies just to accommodate them.
Yeah.
But it's not good, for example, in pushing for a speaker has his own legislative agenda. So if you will only give him 15 months, ano mangyayari doon? No?
Masyadong maliit.
Masyadong maliit. So that's why in this effort to appease all the members of the coalition, I think mas nasisira yung ibang mga members ng coalition dyan. No? But I think that, again, goes to show ano yung nangyayari dyan sa House. No? It's really an accommodation for all these interests, no? Selfish interests na nandyan sa loob ng members ng coalition.
Is that new?
Nothing new to that, no? But now, dahil allies ng presidente lahat, it's very crucial, I think, for the president really to choose.
Yeah.
I don't believe that he will not pick his own candidate.
You don't believe that?
Yes, until July 22, because, you know, very crucial. 2022 is last 3 years of the administration. A lot of
Very
things will happen.
important. How about you, Congressman Fred? Do you think the president will choose his candidate, whether he tells the public or not?
Well, 50-50 proposition. He may or he may not. Because if the president would like to be democratic about it, and he has been saying that he will not interfere with the affairs of the House of Representatives being a separate branch of the government, he may make true what he has said, that he's not going to interfere in this election of the Speaker. However, things could change.
Okay.
There are days left.
Yeah.
To
What
decide.
about Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo? Should she interfere? Because remember, the president also said a while back that he asked SGMA to be the one to choose kasi nahihirapan daw siya. Congressman, should the Speaker choose the next or endorse the next Speaker?
Well, I don't think so that GMA will endorse, but perhaps what she could only do is discuss the matter of choice with the president. And any choice that will come out is still the choice of President Duterte.
I see. Congressman Zarate, dapat ho ba?
Well, you know...
Binigyan na siya ng
yes.
authority, pumili ka na.
In so many words, direct or indirect, I think that also SGMA, Speaker GMA will pick her choice. No?
She
In
will.
fact, she's already identified with one of the candidates. No? So,
Who is Martin Romualdez.
yes. So that puts her also in so-called in a bind. No? Parang inipit siya ni President Duterte dyan. So she can no longer make her choice public.
But here's the thing, hindi naman sinasabi ni SGMA sinong choice niya, di ba? She doesn't want to talk about that. People are just presuming and assuming that it's Martin Romualdez.
I was about to comment on that.
Okay.
There is no public pronouncement,
Yeah.
and I myself has not heard Speaker Arroyo that her choice is Martin Romualdez.
Right.
That's why I said that without making a personal choice, perhaps the matter of speakership could only be discussed by SGMA with President Duterte. Perhaps they could exchange notes, but the decision is still
With the president. All right, we'll be taking another short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, House Majority Leader Fred Castro and Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Zarate. So it was Congressman who that said about that meeting with the president? Are you ready?
Well, my source is the news.
Okay.
According to the news, Congressman, when asked what he discussed with the president, Congressman Romualdez said that the president asked him if he's ready.
Do you have any other sources?
No other source.
Yun lang?
Yun lang.
Are you sure, sir?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about the Philippines exclusive economic zone. Nagtatawanan ho kami during the break because of all these things coming out on social media, no? Congressman Zarate, Congressman Fred, na yung mga kailangan na daw ng visa. Let's understand the situation, sir. What is your stand, both gentlemen, on the Philippines exclusive economic zone? Congressman Zarate, please go ahead.
Our constitution is very explicit. No? Our exclusive economic zone is really reserved for Filipinos. No? And in fact, that's one of the issues raised in the Philippine Permanent Court of Arbitration. No? In that ruling, ang sinabi lang naman doon na pwedeng magkaroon ng common ground as yung panatag shoal, if I'm not mistaken. But all the rest, that's exclusive. And ang alam ko rin dyan, well, it is an exclusive economic zone for the Philippines, pwedeng i-share yan. But there must be an agreement. No? The coastal state must give its categorical consent. No? And when we say agreement, hindi siguro pwedeng verbal lang, no? Na kayo-kayo lang nag-uusap.
Hindi pwede yun.
I think my submission is that hindi pwede yung ganun. Dapat nakalagay yun sa isang formal na kasulatan na magkakaroon nga ng sharing, pwedeng gumamit yung other states other than the coastal
Of
state.
the resources
Yes.
in the rather in the economic zone. What about you, Congressman Fred?
Well, we have to distinguish giving the right to fish in the exclusive economic zone of our country and versus accommodation.
Okay.
Because when you say accommodation, it does not necessarily mean that you are given the right, but it is very temporary when you are simply being accommodated. You could be accommodated 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, but you could not be accommodated perpetually or for a very long time. And therefore, I see that if it is simply accommodation in a short span of time, that's why it did not necessitate the president to put this agreement into writing. I do not see of any violation of the Constitution.
But how are you assured that this accommodation is short-term, sir? Who's to tell you that the accommodation is short-term?
Well, the agreement between the president, no? It's an informal agreement. Because I understand that the president was looking for a way on how to restore the activities of the Filipino fishermen in some areas in the West Philippine Sea. And perhaps it was simply a band-aid solution on the part of the president to be telling the Xi Jinping, okay, we will allow the Chinese, but you open the other areas where the Filipinos are also fishing.
Let me just ask this point blank, sir. The Filipino fishermen, the 22 Filipino fishermen left at sea, eventually helped by Vietnam fishermen, asked for this. They want justice and they want exclusive rights in recto bank for Filipino fishermen. Do you agree or do you not, sir? Pwede ho bang atin na lang yun sa Pilipino na mga fishermen? Sa Pilipinas na lang, itong umpisahan lang natin, recto bank.
Well, I agree. I agree.
So, if there are Chinese fishermen there, is that illegal or is it not, sir?
Well, it is illegal,
Okay.
but I said they could be accommodated. But what that accommodation is, it has to be defined.
But if it's defined, sir, does it have to be written or is it okay to be verbal?
Well, if it is of permanency, therefore it has to be written. But if it is only for the purpose of arresting an event that you would not want to happen
Such as?
continuously until such a time that a formal agreement is reached, like for example, the Code of Conduct in the South,
Which is
in the
taking
West
quite-
Philippine Sea,
yeah,
which
South
is
Philippine.
taking a while.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Nakikinip na ang presidente.
I would rather give them an accommodation in the meantime so as not to disturb the peace
Okay.
and the friendly relation among the countries.
Aren't we too friendly with China already, sir? Why we always use that disturb the peace? I don't want to disturb the peace.
No, I did not mean that it means that we are too friendly with
Okay.
it. Because as you might have noted, the president is also giving statements which is a little offensive to the ear of any Chinese leader who may hear it. No?
Which, when the president siguro said that, paano mo naman aangkinin ang buong
Yes,
karagatan?
that was in Japan.
Yeah. Congressman Zarate, is that an impeachable offense? Because now that's being talked about, and in fact, the president even said, well, basically said, subukan ninyo.
Well, alam mo, lahat naman ito, an impeachment per se is a accountable mechanism in our Constitution. No? And there are grounds stated in our Constitution, culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust. Now, the proclivity of the President to just set aside all of this constitutional mandate, no? Kasi sabi niya, that's a thoughtless, senseless provision of the Constitution. Pag magtuloy-tuloy itong ganito, no? Then, the only way for the President to be accountable is what is stated in the Constitution while he is still sitting as a President.
Which is to defend the Constitution.
Yes, he is mandated to do that. No? In fact, that's
Defend and preserve.
Yes, that's precisely why he's in Malacanang, no? Because of that very Constitution that he is now saying is to...
So, is he defending and preserving the Constitution now?
As I have said earlier, no? If it's convenient, he will say, let's set aside first the Constitution because I don't want a nuclear war. No? Who says about nuclear war?
Yeah.
No? So I think at all times, no, dapat ang Pangulo ay talagang titindig para sa ating Constitution, especially now that we have a favorable decision from an international tribunal regarding the West Philippine Sea issue. No?
Yeah. Which the president says China it did not participate in naman. I don't know if we have time, but the president also was saying about these threats of an impeachment na ano sinabi niya? That he will even jail his critics. Do you see that as a serious threat by the president? Congressman Fred, very
I
quickly.
think he's joking.
Congressman Zarate.
That's a trademark of the President.
Yes.
No, may sasabihin. But it can also be a trial balloon. No? It's a veiled threat for those who will be pursuing this accountability mechanism. No? Meron naman nangyari in the past. Pag, halimbawa, what happened to the Chief Justice, to the Ombudsman, no? Lahat mga critics ng President. And in fact, one is now in jail.
So, kailan ho kaya makakapili ng House Speaker? When do you think, sir?
Morning of July 22.
Morning of July 22. Congressman Fred Castro. Sir, maraming salamat po sa inyo. Congressman Zarate, maraming salamat din po sa inyo. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.